Good morning, everybody, or afternoon or evening, whenever y'all are watching this. It's morning for me. Um, I'm sure I mentioned this in my last video, but a lot of the stuff that we're talking about in this class and in our ethics class are very aligned with the reasons I'm leaving my current school and starting a new adventure. Um, and I know that we didn't have to pick our college or school employer for the diversity statement, but I actually felt it was really important that I did because it's more of a lack thereof for us. There's no real diversity statement. There's a diversity statement for HR about recruiting for diversity, but the only thing we have in our college catalog is that we value diverse perspectives, cultures, and experiences. Diversity enriches the learning and working environment and enables people with different perspectives and cultures and experiences to thrive on campus and to prepare for success in a pluralistic society. So it's pretty broad. um, Another example is with the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor back in May of 2020. On June 9th, our president sent out um, an email saying that we need to be committed to hearing our community and addressing concerns. And here are some examples of what we're working on. So he spoke about developing programs using best practices to foster a learning environment that supports retention and completion, and implementing outreach initiatives and creating learning opportunities for cultural competency, and continuing to strengthen diversity and recruitment, and formalizing how the Office of Diversity and Inclusion addresses structural racism. And he asks us to join in recommitting to the college's purpose to be an agent of positive change and standing for justice and equity. And as someone who truly does that, we've never, I can honestly say we haven't made any strides forward in that aspect, um, which is incredibly sad. And we talk about the nuances of differences with diversity versus difference and privilege versus oppression, and I've just found myself running into a wall with trying to explain the difference between equality and equity and trying to get people to recognize their privilege. And it's hard. I mean, it's so hard. And we're asked to talk about um, these differences, and are they accurate, and to what extent are they actually practiced in supporting students? And for me, it's not at all. Like, absolutely not. Like, that was the first time our president has addressed diversity in the years that I've been here, and he was only here a year before me. And the cherry on top of it is that our executive board is all white, affluent individuals, where students see zero diversity. They don't, and they need that. Our students need to see. I had somebody in our community literally say to me, like, why does your board and your foundation board not reflect the population of Angelina College? And I literally said, I don't make those choices, unfortunately. Um, and then it's just, and we talk about like the differences and the nuances between higher ed and K-12 and their historical systemic inequities, and what are some of them. And we have to look at the different types of oppression and inequities. So you got historic, systemic, adverse, individual, institutional, and cultural. And for me, working here, I have definitely seen more of the individual, institutional, and cultural. And I think a lot of that stems from, I'm going to go back to our board. And the issue there is that if you have all of these people of power, and they all have the same attitudes about things, and they're all doing things that are not appropriate, or just flat out racist, or flat out oppressive, if the others don't see it as a problem because nobody calls each other out on their crap, it's just going to keep happening. And I'm a big believer in the trickle down effect, that if the people in power are behaving a certain way and the people below them see that it's not being corrected, so it must be okay, then that behavior is going to spread like poison throughout the entire campus. And that's currently what's happening. Um, we are not we're not taking the time to really, as a college, learn and grow and do better. And those of us that are trying to do better just feel like they keep running into a wall and nothing's ever gonna change. And I just, I've been trying to explain to people, the fact that I have to openly tell, say, like, do you realize what you're saying is racist? Do you realize what you're saying is considered tokenism? We have a individual that my position is posted. They are currently looking for someone to replace me, and this individual brought somebody in from the community that has no education in higher or no experience in higher ed, doesn't even have a degree in education. And my current position is master's preferred, bachelor's required, 3 years experience in education or higher education. And was introducing this human to everybody around campus, and it was very odd. And then later that afternoon, she came back to our office to speak to my director, and my director informed me that she had said that she thought that this person would be a good fit for the position because Dr. Simon would really enjoy the diversity on our team. The woman she was bringing was black, and so I immediately, when my director said that, I said, does she not understand that's called tokenism? That is racist. And nobody is, and that's not the first time that's happened. That's the sad part. And so there's so many examples of it that I can't even begin to, fathom and explain. But if that trickle down effect happens, it directly affects our students. And so it's going to just cause even wider gaps and issues. And, the problem is this college hangs their hat on the fact that, when they opened in 1968, they were desegregated, and that was a huge deal back then. And I understand that was, but there have literally not been many changes since then. And so it's difficult. And looking at, what have the failures, been allowed to perpetuate, it's exactly what I was just saying, is if you don't have people seeing what's wrong, or people truly listening when somebody is saying, hey, this is happening, this is not okay, then everybody that's up there in power, if you don't see anything wrong, then it's just, our president has he pulled himself up by the bootstraps narrative. And I read a text recently about the person you meet. I believe it's called The Person You Mean to Be by Dolly. It's that's beside the point. Something we read for a DEI committee, and she said that she interviewed somebody who had that, belief that, I pulled myself up by the bootstraps. But you have to remind yourself at that time, what would it have been like if you were not white? And so there have been so many times where I've wanted to say to the president, like, imagine if you were born a black man or a Hispanic man or an immigrant. How would your story have been? Understand that just because he was white, he was already given a step ahead. And so it's sad for me to see when people have been in the position that I've been in. He started his career where I am and been on the ground and did the work, did the hard work, did the diversity, equity, and inclusion work. And you get to a certain level and you just forget, or at least that's how it feels. Personal impacts by the system of oppression. What extent do you feel responsible for the disruption? So this is so tricky for me, and it's one of those things that's very irritating because I feel responsible. Like, I feel like I need to do what I can to just stop the narrative, to change it, to make it. But then at the end of the day, I don't feel like I'm making a difference at all. And in fact, I'm just like ramming my head into a wall because these behaviors are so deep rooted in this community. And my mental health has suffered from it, which is part of why I'm taking a break. And they're not taking a break, I'm leaving. But it's good work, but God, it is so hard sometimes in this type of environment. And I don't know how we're supposed to change those types of behaviors when they are so ingrained. And I know I'm not the only one who deals with this, and I know I'm not the only one that feels like they are just talking to a brick wall when you try to talk about the hard stuff, the important stuff, and no one's listening to you. And it's not no one. We all know that there are like-minded individuals out there, but also part of our issue at this college is there's such a high level of fear-mongering, and there's such a high level of, well, if you say this or this and so gets mad, they can easily restructure, or they can easily decide that your job is no longer necessary. And so there's a lot of people here that their lives are here in Lufkin and in Nacogdoches or in East Texas. And so they just grin and bear it. And I'm, again, privileged to know that I can leave and it'll be okay. And I hope obviously for this student population there's some kind of shift, there is some paradigm shift, but right now I feel bad because I feel like I'm abandoning this, but at the end of the day I can take my skills and potentially they'll be appreciated somewhere else. And so on a high note, technically tomorrow is my last day, but it is Thursday, so we all know the winter storm's coming in, and likely we're all going to be iced into our homes. So I think today is my last day at Angelina College, and I have an overwhelming sense of relief because I am not going to have to continue fighting this executive council and these people of privilege. I'm not going to have to do it anymore, and all I can do is send good vibes and hope for the best. Y'all stay safe this weekend, or I don't know how long the ice is supposed to be here, at least through Saturday. Bye.